Try to remember your first birthday. You can't. Try to remember the sound of your mother's voice on the day you were born, or the first time you tasted food. You can't do that either. Somewhere inside your mind, an entire person once lived. That person cried. That person laughed. That person learned to crawl, and eventually spoke a first word. And yet, almost none of it survived. Most people's earliest memory doesn't appear until around age 3 or 4. Everything before that is simply gone. But the real reason isn't as simple as forgetting. It's far stranger than that. Here's what's actually happening inside your brain. When you were an infant, your brain was producing new neurons at an explosive rate. Every single day, thousands of fresh cells were being added to your hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for turning experience into memory. Your hippocampus wasn't just recording your life, it was rebuilding its own architecture at the same time. Imagine trying to file paperwork in an office where the walls, the shelves, and the filing cabinets are being torn down and rebuilt every single night. That's roughly what was happening in your skull. Neuroscientist Paul Frankland, at the University of Toronto, tested this idea directly. He raised infant mice and sped up the rate of neurogenesis, the birth of new brain cells, in their hippocampus. What he found was striking. The faster new neurons appeared, the faster the mice forgot things they had just learned. The new cells weren't just adding capacity. They were quite literally overwriting the wiring that held old memories in place. Your infant brain was doing the same thing. It wasn't broken. It was mid-construction. So what if forgetting your earliest years isn't a flaw at all? What if it's the cost of building the very brain you use to remember everything else? This is where it gets even stranger. Psychologist Patricia Bauer at Emory University spent years studying how toddlers actually form memories. Her research showed that very young children absolutely do remember events, sometimes vividly, for weeks or even months after they happen. A 2-year-old can recall a trip to the zoo in remarkable detail, if you ask soon enough. The memories are there. They just don't last. Bauer's work found that the systems needed to convert a short-term memory into a permanent, retrievable one are still under construction well into early childhood. It isn't that toddlers fail to form memories. It's that their brains haven't yet built the long-term storage system required to keep them. Think of it like writing an important note on a whiteboard before the permanent filing cabinet has even been installed. The note is real. The information is there. But the moment someone wipes the board, or the office gets rebuilt again, it's gone for good. There's another piece to this puzzle, and it has nothing to do with neurons at all. It has to do with language. Autobiographical memory, the kind where you remember yourself as the main character in your own story, requires a sense of self. You have to know you exist as a distinct you moving through time. That sense of self develops gradually, usually strengthening between ages 2 and 4, right alongside language. Researchers studying children's early memories have found something remarkable. Kids who develop language skills earlier tend to retain slightly earlier memories than kids who develop language later. Words don't just describe your past. They help build the mental shelf your past experiences sit on. Without language, an experience is just a flash of sensation. With language, it becomes a story. And stories are what your brain is built to keep. So why would evolution design a system this way? Why build a brain that forgets its own foundational years? Because for most of human history, survival depended on speed, not sentiment. An infant's brain needed to grow fast, adapt fast, and absorb an enormous amount of new information about a dangerous world, faces, language, danger, safety. Constantly overwriting old, low-value data made room for skills your ancestors actually needed to stay alive. Remembering your first steps mattered far less than learning to walk in the first place. You are, in a very real sense, not the same organism you were at 18 months old. Your brain quite literally rebuilt itself before it decided you were ready to start keeping permanent records. And here's the part that should make you look at your own memory a little differently. This process never fully stops. Your hippocampus continues generating new neurons throughout your life, just far more slowly. Every memory you've ever kept has survived a brain that is constantly renovating itself around it. So the next time you strain to remember something from years ago, and it feels blurry, or incomplete, or just slightly wrong, that isn't a personal failure. That's the same construction process that erased your infancy, still quietly running in the background, still rebuilding the very shelves your memories sit on. Try to remember your first birthday. You still can't. But now you know the truth. You weren't robbed of that memory. You were built by its disappearance.